Hey man, how are you?
Doing good, Don.
Good. I'm glad this worked out. It's a happy Monday here in
Yeah,
Raleigh. How
yeah,
about you?
yeah. And where are you from again? Where are you situated?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah,
Beautiful area.
yeah, I love it here. I was raised in the mountains, but ended up after I got out of the service settling here in Raleigh and
Okay.
never left. And you're in Texas.
I'm in Dallas. Yeah, I've been in Dallas since finished law school in Pittsburgh, so since 1986. But
Oh,
it's funny. I just did a book interview for the Ambulance Chaser, and one of the questions is why is it set in Pittsburgh? And I answered that there was never any doubt where it would be set because although I've lived in Dallas 30 years, my family's here, and Dallas is my home, but Pittsburgh is home, right?
right.
It's where I grew up, and it's where my heart is. So and will always be.
I feel the same way about Central North Carolina. I've been here with my beloved wife for nearly 30 years, but
Yeah,
Asheville is always going to be home.
yeah. And so you never lose that, right? I dream Pittsburgh, not Dallas. I do. Every dream I have, literally, there are a couple that are thrown in now and then, but with family here. But 90% of my dreams, and I dream a lot. I'm a very vivid dreamer, and I
Okay.
remember my dreams, and I dream every night.
Yeah,
Uh, they're almost always set in Pittsburgh, and always from my childhood.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's interesting. I wonder what that says about your brain, such a vivid and regular dreamer and
yeah, and
recollection.
I feel kind of blessed to
Hmm.
have that because it gives me ideas and it causes me to think about things. And sometimes they're not good dreams; they're unsettling dreams and this and that. But it was a dream; it was a recurring dream that led to led to my novel. So uh, I remember all my dreams. I do,
That's
and
awesome. That's awesome. Well, you know what? Let's tell everybody who you are. Who are you?
well, my name's Brian Cuban, and I am a person in long-term recovery. My drugs of choice, my substances of choice were cocaine and alcohol. And I've been in long-term recovery now for rolling over into 15 years in April. And we say one day at a time, but I'm confident I'll make it to 15 years. Uh, I know the bad things that can happen, and they're not, and I know my triggers, and I've lost people, so I'm confident that
Yeah,
those things aren't an issue. We always do say one day at a time, but I am confident in more than one day at a time.
right, right. Same
And
here.
it took a while to get there, though. It took a while to get for a long time. It
Mm.
was literally one day at a time, 1 second at a time. And so, yeah, I've been in recovery, and it's been an interesting journey. I mean, I've been to a psychiatric hospital twice. I've been to jail. I've had 3 failed marriages related to drugs and alcohol.
Mm.
I've lost my career as a lawyer and had to reinvented myself, obviously, in recovery, doing other things because I never really wanted to be a lawyer. But and so I've as I always say, the only thing I offer people really is my story, right?
Right.
I'm not. I tell my story a lot. I like to keep it funny. I mean, like I said, I traded in 2006. I traded championship tickets for the Mavericks. My brother owns a team, and flushed it down the toilet 2 nights in a row. $1,000 in cocaine, quote unquote insanity of addiction. And I can tell that story if you want. But
Oh,
it's the only thing I'm an expert in is my story,
yeah.
and I have nothing else. I'm not a counselor. I did pass my recovery coach certification here in Texas, the state licensing, but I don't. I don't pass myself off as anything
Right.
but a guy with a story.
You're a guy with a story. So
That's it.
you're
That's
Brian
it.
Cuban.
I try to be what was it Bill White said? I'm not, I cringe at the term recovery celebrity. I try to be just a caretaker of my story, of
Oh,
my story.
recovery rock star. That's what.
Recovery rock star.
Yeah.
I just
I
try to be
don't.
a caretaker of what my story can offer people.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
it.
fond of that expression either. And sometimes people with the best of intentions say you're such a rock star, and
Well, I try to keep it. I try to keep it in perspective. Okay, what does that mean? Well, yes, I do get noticed because of my last name, of course,
mm,
and whatever that is. I mean, that was my last name, right? My dad gave it to me, and I have a famous brother, and I don't plan on giving it back because I get noted.
right, right.
But and we're getting right into my pet peeves, with Recovery Rockstar, and I think we've seen what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, people who have these relationships with treatment centers that just don't feel right. People who are just plastering themselves. Hey, look what I'm doing. And there's nothing wrong with helping people, right? But the focus seems to be them. And the people they're helping seem to be just the background, the Zoom virtual background.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so those kind of things, and we're seeing it in Las Vegas right now, with a very torrid, kind of lurid kind of situation with someone there with that guy. I forget his name, but it's a wooden. Yeah, I mean the names change, but
Right.
it's important to me personally just to be a person with a story.
You are a
People are
person
helped by it.
with a
Great.
story. You're a person with a story. So you're a former attorney. You identify as a person in recovery, and you are a writer, which is really cool. We'll get into that in a little bit. But so you do identify as a person in recovery.
Yes.
And we ask everyone on the show, because not all definitions are the same, nor should they be. But
I am a person in abstinent recovery.
okay. Well, what is recovery to you?
Recovery to me is, am I today leading the best life I can lead in terms of my family, my personal growth, my relationships with my friends, what are my hopes and dreams? Do I have hopes and dreams? Am I achieving? Am I working towards them? That's how I judge my recovery. I don't necessarily judge it in terms of, have I done a line or taken a drink, which is important, because I don't want to do that. But it has really transitioned, Don. I don't. From the standpoint of snorting or whatever, a line or doing a drink, I don't necessarily look at it anymore as, okay, I walked into the rooms of 12-step, and this is how I have to define myself because I walked into the rooms of 12-step. I just, it can transition to just a lifestyle choice, right? I don't wake up every morning and think I'll die if I do a line.
Gotcha.
That very well may be true eventually, but I don't, or it may not, but I don't wake up and think that way. I wake up and think in terms of, what kind of life am I leading today in the big mushroom of really how Samsa defines recovery.
Yes, this process of improved health and wellness towards autonomy and towards self-actualization. It's simply living while we're trying.
Yeah, and shouldn't that be a goal, outside or inside of recovery, right?
For everyone, absolutely.
Yeah. So I really, how I view my own recovery, and I view abstinence the same way, right? I don't do it, but how I review recovery and how I view other people's recovery has certainly evolved.
Yes.
And for me, I think the better. For some people in the recovery field, they may say the worse. And I know people who would say that. So it just depends on what your personal outlook is on recovery, and on addiction.
I'm gratified, though. I'm grateful, rather, that my definition of recovery has changed, and my outlook upon others' recoveries has evolved and changed, and it's made me a better human. And when I practiced as a clinician, made me a better clinician. It's made me a better social worker. But you raise a really good point. You said that it was one day at a time in the beginning. You also mentioned that, I don't wake up every morning now. There's no craving, there's no obsession or whatever. And I think that's an important part of the story to be told. Sometimes when you get this recovery rock star out there, be like, every day is a challenge, man. And I get up there and I fight this battle against my addiction. And I don't think newcomers need to hear that. I think they need to hear, no, one day you're just going to be living.
I agree. I think that, I try to view, like I said, we meet people where they are, right?
Sure.
If you're in there and that's the perception you have to take to get through the first 3 months, the first whatever. Absolutely. I'm not, then take that, right? If that's the way you have to view it. But I do think it is important for people to understand that recovery can evolve, as you said, and recovery can evolve to just living your best life, and it doesn't have to be this hardcore, just struggle every day, and it can evolve to something else.
Yeah.
And when we see these, and I mean, we see these recovery rock stars, and I've seen it. You've seen me go at it with people. I try not to do that.
Yep.
But you don't know. Only I know. You saw me getting that trench, right? You can't understand because only I'm in the trenches. I'm out there helping people. I mean,
are you now?
Yeah, well, let's talk about ego and narcissism, right? It's
yeah.
I don't see how that's helpful to the movement or to individuals.
No.
Even if you are out there,
Absolutely.
literally, you've helped people. I don't deny that. If you've helped people, that's great. But what is your goal, right? Is your goal to elevate yourself or elevate the person you're helping?
Yeah. When this recovery movement, led by Faces and Voices of Recovery and encouraging us to share the power of our stories came forward, we often talked about what is your motive? Why are you sharing your story? And I know that I share my story and I live out loud on social media, and I know what my purpose is. My purpose is to lower the barriers, remove the barriers for others to come get them some, to instill hope, and to encourage more people to tell their stories. So why do you tell your story?
To encourage hope, to provide hope. Especially, I've become more, and it's a specific, very problematic in the legal profession, where I spend a lot of my time, right, telling my story, because we have a alcohol use disorder rate of twice the general public. Wow. For lawyers under 10 years of practice, it's 1 in 3 qualify for problem drinking alcohol use disorder. Wow. And we saw a recent survey where it is even higher for women in the legal profession, and I thought about 25% are even considering leaving the profession because of these issues. And so and we combine that in the legal profession with this, we have 2 levels of stigma, Don. We have the societal stigma, right, where you have the people, it's a choice, pull it up, and we still see that, unfortunately. Just stop, just say no. But we also have the stigma that is specific to the legal profession piled on top of that, where we have the fear of losing your job, the fear of losing your license to practice law, the fear of not making partner, the fear, and the fear of allowing yourself to be vulnerable on any level because it'll be taken advantage of. And in the legal profession, frankly, we go through law school, we're kind of educated to take advantage of vulnerability, not allow ourselves to be vulnerable.
Right.
So I feel it is especially important, and I have a special connection to telling my story within my profession because of those issues.
That's deeply meaningful work, man. That's great. Talk about it more. Encourage more people to seek help.
Yeah.
Destigmatize this issue.
I go to law firms and conferences and stuff, and and I go to law schools, and you get, lawyers can be they're kind of closed off in terms of, I want to say, allowing those things to come out. So you get the emails after and things like that. And those are very gratifying about instilling hope, right? I can't instill recovery. I can't tell you how to recover. I can't I'm not a therapist, right. But I can hopefully instill some hope that will at least get you thinking about it, right? And if everyone told their story, and that doesn't mean you have to, or are not all meant to. A lot of lawyers just want to work, right? Most people recover and they just go about their lives. So not everyone wants to be an advocate. They want to go back to being a great lawyer.
Sure.
But the more people we have telling our stories, the more permission we give people to tell their stories, and so on and so on. And we keep, paying the hope forward. And that is how things move outward, right? The mushroom expands outward.
Yes. That's a wonderful way to put it. Another thing we talk about on this show is I only have guests on who I have a relationship with. and we talk about how we met and we show pictures when we've been together. And this is kind of a unique relationship. I have a purely digital relationship with you. We've never met in person, but I think because of your storytelling, your recovery visibility, I felt comfortable reaching out to you on a number of things.
I'm glad you did, because I mean, as much as I can consider someone a friend virtually, right? But COVID's had a lot to do with a lot of this, and hopefully we're going to come out of this where we can all really get together and share our viewpoints and talk recovery and argue recovery, right? And debate recovery, because we have, even on the things we agree on, many of us have very different viewpoints, but most of us want the same thing. Even if we have view what what it means to get there, or what abstinence means, or what harm reduction means, even though we have kind of clinical definitions, but people have very different views on those things. And what I'm not sure has changed, because the paradigm has changed because of COVID, but at least before COVID, I've seen us as such a divisive bunch in terms of fundraising and trying to messaging, especially when you have the what recovery should go to, right? What is the end result of recovery versus you have that where the end result should always be abstinence, versus the end result should be where you are, whatever you want it to be and how you want it to get there. Huge divide between those two.
Yeah, huge divide, and I like to promote recovery, but I definitely very much work in a public health setting where we are responding to the overdose crisis, where over 100,000 folks have already lost their lives to drug overdose. So my goals have shifted significantly since I entered the field 12 years ago, from promoting recovery to preserving life, promoting health, wellness, understanding the roles that access and inequity play in all these things. So it's just so much more complex.
And it is, and there are very hot button issues. I mean, prosecuting people who provide drugs. I mean, that's not, and in these other war on drugs things, that we had 100,000 overdoses. It's not working, right? Seize all the fentanyl at the border you want. That isn't curbing great, do it. That's fine. But that's not stopping overdoses, fatal overdoses.
It's not working. I love it. Every one of these interviews, I try to look for a little statement within there for the title of the episode. And that really hit me. It's not working.
It's not. The numbers say that it's not working.
It's not, no.
That addiction, it's called addiction for a reason. Obsessive compulsive drug seeking behavior in the face of known and probable consequences, right? When you're dependent and addicted, which we know two different things, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
You're going to find it. So how can we keep that person alive to experience whatever recovery looks like to her, him, her, or they, right?
Right. Yeah. You've defined substance use disorder, the compulsive seeking or using of substances despite consequences. And we have a very much consequences driven solution. And we wonder why it's not working.
Yeah. Don, I was doing cocaine in the federal courthouse, the state courthouse. I was suffering from substance use disorder. I wasn't suffering from stupid. Okay. I knew it was illegal. Yeah. I knew I could go to prison. That wasn't the issue.
Definitely not. Well, along with talking about, recovery and what we're passionate about, we talk about having fun, because I know we like to have fun. So what do you do for fun, Brian?
I go to Mavs games, obviously, because Dallas Mavericks games, but I've only been to one this year. I love to write. I run as much as I can with a hip replacement. My wife and I love to travel, which we haven't been able to do, unfortunately. But we're very low key people, Don. We have our routine, and this is kind of a byproduct of recovery, right? Mm-hmm. You go from chaos, where all these things, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? To this, right? Where you really And you either become comfortable in that life and enjoy that life and learn how to enjoy that life, or you can expand it. But you try not to go back to those things that can trigger, this all the chaos again. But we go out to dinner, we go to Mavs games, we travel every now and then. We go see a show if we can. So very simple, very. Now I admit there's obviously there's privilege, right? Skin color and many other levels of privilege that people struggling the vast majority don't enjoy. But within our life, we live a very quiet lifestyle.
Yeah, I get it. I'm a family man as well, and I
We have
have
our two
fun
cats. We have our two
chilling.
cats. We don't have any kids, but we have our two cats. And this is probably substantially the same life I lived starting at about a year in recovery, right? Not as many 12-step meetings. I do all of them now virtually.
Right.
I do a lot of speaker meetings, and I love those. Are fun. Tell my story at speaker meetings. But yeah, it's substantially the same life.
Yeah. Well, I dig. I'm inspired by your pursuing writing. I'm inspired by your fitness as well. I think it's wonderful that you're putting that out there. Writing. Oh, go ahead.
I would say, it's become more of a challenge as I've gotten older. I've run 8 marathons, but those were in my 20s and early 30s. I'm turning 61 in January.
Wow.
And I have a hip replacement and this and that. So you have to adjust, but I always find a way because exercise is a part of my mental health routine.
Excellent. So writing, you have been known to write autobiographical and stories pertaining to substance use disorder. But this episode is going to be coming out a day after the launch of an amazing work of fiction that, well, I assume it's amazing. I can't wait to read it.
I hope you'll think so. My biggest fear now, right? People have read it, and but you have the people who've read it who are going to, they're going to tell you what you want to hear, and it has to get out into the realm of people who don't know you from Adam.
Right. Right. So the Ambulance Chaser is coming out Monday,
December 7th. Here you go.
December 7th. There it is.
My author's coffee.
Hot dog. So, when this episode comes out and as we lead up to this episode, we'll promote the book, and I just hope folks will run out and get them one and maybe grab a copy of The Addicted Lawyer as well.
Yeah, The Addicted Lawyer is my memoir.
Yep.
About where you can read about trading the Dallas Mavericks championship tickets and all that stuff. A lot of stories and a lot of I wouldn't call them salacious, but a lot of stories, because a lot of stories that you'll be like, wow, okay, it's just goofy. It's goofy stories, but they all have a message. They all have a message. That was one of the things with writing The Addicted Lawyer. I had all these stories, right?
Yep.
But which of them are salacious just for the sake of being salacious, which I didn't want to do.
Right.
And which of them have actual messages to them, and can you create a message that isn't just a total downer from the story, right? And because I didn't want people to come out of reading The Addicted Lawyer like they had just given birth. But The Ambulance Chaser is a novel, it's fiction. And so The Ambulance Chaser is about a Pittsburgh lawyer, as you might guess, named Jason, who finds himself accused of the murder of a high school classmate 30 years prior, after her remains are discovered in a vacant lot. He is arrested, charged with her murder, and flees, becomes a fugitive of justice to find the one person who can prove his innocence and save the life of his abducted son.
That sounds awesome. Well, where can folks come get them a copy when they see this Tuesday the 8th?
The 8th, you're at your local bookstore. If it's not at your Barnes & Noble, go and ask for it. It's obviously available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com. If you go and ask your indie bookstore, if you're just Amazon adverse, as some people are, you don't want to give Jeff Bezos the dollar. I get that.
Yeah.
But it'll be right now. It'll be available pretty much everywhere.
I've done several book clubs, Carl Hart books and Maya Salavet's books, and I've told folks to go to I think bookshop.org, which
bookshop. It's available on bookshop.org.
It likes they try to get money to local bookstores and stuff.
Yeah, I've read Dr. Hart's.
Interesting.
Reviews for grown-ups.
Yeah. So All right. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here. We always end up putting folks on the spot, though. Do you have, for our millions of listeners, do you have a message that you want to put out there?
Yes, whatever your recovery or looks like today may not be, it doesn't mean that's what it has to look like 6 months from now or a year from now or 10 years from now. Allow it to revolve, allow it to evolve for the better. Don't feel you have to be stuck in a narrative because that's what everyone else tells you the narrative should be.
Allow your recovery to evolve. Don't get stuck in the narrative imposed by others.
That's right.
That's great. That's good stuff. Well,
I mean, we all evolve as people, right? Recovery should be no different.
Recovery should be no different. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad that you showed up, and thanks for sharing everything with us. And I'm gonna let you get back to your day.
Thank you, Don. It was such a pleasure, and I hope to see you in person very soon.
We're gonna make that happen.
Let's do that. You take care, my friend.